Have you ever felt like people were slowly losing respect for you and you couldn't figure out why? Not because of a huge mistake, not because of one dramatic failure, but because of small, quiet habits you repeat every single day. Machiavelli warned that power isn't always lost in public battles. Sometimes it's lost silently, through behaviors so subtle you don't even notice them eroding your authority. Research shows that 90% of professionals lose credibility not from big failures, but from repeated micro-behaviors that quietly chip away at respect. Take Sarah, for example. She was talented, hardworking, reliable. But over time, her colleagues stopped taking her seriously. Why? Not because of her skills, but because of 3 silent behaviors she carried into every interaction. Visual cue. Imagine an hourglass. Each grain of sand slipping down isn't loud, but over time, the glass empties. Respect drains the same way. By the end of this video, you'll know the 3 daily behaviors Machiavelli called silent defeat, how to recognize them in yourself, and how to replace them before it's too late. Stay with me, and if you've seen this happen in real life, hit like, share this video with a friend, and drop a comment if you've ever felt respect slipping away without knowing why. In the hook, we met Sarah, talented, hardworking, reliable. So why did her colleagues slowly lose respect for her? The first behavior explains it, and it feels polite, but it's actually poison to authority. Constant apologies. We're taught from a young age that saying sorry is good manners. But when sorry becomes your default response, it sends a message you don't intend. Studies in workplace psychology show that people who over-apologize are judged as 35% less confident than their peers. The word is meant to repair relationships, but used too often, it erodes them. Visual cue. Picture someone bowing their head again and again until their presence shrinks into invisibility. That was Sarah. She apologized for being late, even when she wasn't. She said sorry for asking questions. She even whispered sorry when others bumped into her. At first, people thought she was kind, but over time, her constant apologies made her look uncertain. And uncertainty does not attract respect, it repels it. Machiavelli would have called this a silent surrender, not a battle lost in public, but one lost word by word. Think about the last time someone apologized too much. Did it make them seem strong or small? Here's the truth. Apologies are like currency. When rare, they carry weight. When constant, they lose all value. So how do you fix this behavior? Here's a framework. Pause before you say sorry. Ask yourself, did I really do something wrong? Replace sorry with gratitude. Instead of sorry, I'm late, say thank you for waiting. Gratitude preserves dignity without draining authority. Use apologies sparingly. Save them for when you've truly caused harm. That way, the word gains its power. Visual cue. Imagine the word sorry printed in bold. Every unnecessary apology fades the ink until the word is almost invisible. Sarah learned this the hard way. But once she cut her daily apologies in half, her colleagues started treating her differently. Her words carried more weight, and her respect slowly returned. Have you ever caught yourself apologizing for things that didn't need it? Hit like if you've noticed this in yourself, and drop a comment if you're ready to swap sorry for thank you. Constant apologies are one form of silent defeat. But there's another behavior, even more subtle and just as destructive. It doesn't come from what you say. It comes from what you avoid. Let's move to the second daily behavior Machiavelli warned about, avoiding eye contact. Sarah's apologies chipped away at her authority. But there's another behavior, just as silent and just as destructive. It doesn't come from what you say. It comes from what you avoid, avoiding eye contact. On the surface, it feels small, but in the language of respect, your eyes speak louder than your words. Psychologists have studied this for decades. One experiment found that when leaders avoid eye contact, their trustworthiness drops by nearly 50%, half of their influence. gone, without a single word spoken. Think about Mike. He was brilliant on paper. He knew the numbers, he knew the strategy, but every time he spoke in meetings, he looked down at the table or over people's shoulders. At first, his colleagues thought he was shy, but over time they assumed something worse, that he wasn't confident, or worse, that he wasn't telling the truth. That's the danger of avoiding eye contact. People don't interpret it as humility, they read it as insecurity, and insecurity erodes respect. Machiavelli warned that a leader must be seen as steady, not only in actions but in presence. When your eyes wander, your authority wanders with them. Ask yourself, would you follow someone who can't even look you in the eye, or would you doubt them from the start? Here's the truth. Eye contact is not about staring people down. It's about connection. It tells the other person, I see you. I believe in what I'm saying, and I believe you should too. So how do you fix this silent defeat? First, practice short bursts. Hold eye contact for a few seconds longer than feels natural. It will feel uncomfortable at first, but powerful things usually do. Second, balance it with pauses. Look away to think, then return. This shows reflection, not fear. Third, pair it with steady posture, because when your body and your eyes align, your words carry double the weight. Mike learned this lesson slowly. He began forcing himself to look at one person just for the first sentence of his answer, then another. Week by week, his presence shifted. Colleagues started listening more closely. Even when his ideas hadn't changed, the respect he received had. Here's the key. Respect doesn't always rise from brilliance. It often rises from presence. And presence begins with the courage to meet someone's eyes. Have you ever worked with someone who avoids eye contact? Did you trust them more or less? Comment below with your answer, and if this resonates, share this video with a friend who needs to hear it. Avoiding eye contact is the second silent defeat. But there's one more behavior left, and this one is the trickiest, because unlike apologies or silence, it disguises itself as strength. Let's move to the third behavior Machiavelli warned about: over-explaining. Mike's struggle with eye contact showed us how presence can silently build or break respect. But there's one more behavior Machiavelli would have called a silent defeat. It hides itself behind good intentions. It disguises itself as clarity. But in reality, it creates doubt. Over-explaining. At first, over-explaining feels harmless. You want to make sure people understand you. You want to prove you thought everything through. But the more you explain, the less confident you appear. Psychology research confirms this. Leaders who give long, defensive explanations are seen as insecure, even when their reasoning is solid. The words don't make them look smarter, they make them look unsure. Take Mariah. She was one of the most competent people on her team. Her work spoke for itself. But in every meeting, when she presented her ideas, she kept adding more and more explanation. If this doesn't make sense, let me explain again. And just to be clear, what I meant was, instead of clarity, her colleagues heard insecurity, and soon they stopped valuing her words. That's the trap of over-explaining. It doesn't build trust, it drains it. Because respect is tied not only to what you know, but to how much faith you show in your own words. Machiavelli warned that power belongs to those who appear decisive. When you pile on endless justifications, you don't look decisive, you look defensive. Ask yourself, have you ever tuned out when someone explains something too many times? Did their words gain weight or lose it? Here's the truth. Over-explaining is often rooted in fear. Fear of being misunderstood, fear of being judged. But the irony is this: the more you try to protect yourself with words, the weaker those words become. So how do you break this behavior? First, trust your first sentence. Say it with clarity, then stop. Let silence add weight. Second, if asked to clarify, give one short example, not 5. Third, Replace over-explaining with confidence markers. Instead of, "I hope that makes sense," say, "That's my position." Maria practiced these steps. The first time she ended her point without extra justification, the room went quiet. But instead of doubting her colleagues leaned in. Her words carried more weight because they stood alone. That's the paradox. Sometimes less isn't less. Sometimes less is stronger. So let me ask you, do you over-explain to prove yourself? Or do you let your words carry their own authority? Drop a comment with your answer. And if this reminder hits home, hit like, so more people can learn to cut this habit. Over-explaining is the third silent defeat. And when combined with constant apologies and avoiding eye contact, it slowly drains respect day by day. But Machiavelli's lesson doesn't end with warning signs. It ends with strategy. Because knowing these defeats is only half the battle. The real power comes from learning how to replace them. And that's what we'll explore in the final payoff. 3 behaviors. None of them loud, none of them dramatic, but each one powerful enough to undo respect, silently. Constant apologies, avoiding eye contact, over-explaining. Sarah lost respect because she apologized for everything. Mike lost trust because he couldn't look people in the eye. Maria lost authority because she drowned her own points in words. Different stories, same pattern. Respect slipping away, not with a crash but with a whisper. That's the danger Machiavelli called silent defeat. You don't see it happening until one day you realize people have stopped listening. But here's the hope. Silent defeat can be reversed. Not by grand speeches, not by dramatic gestures, but by daily shifts in language and presence. Replace sorry with thank you. Lift your eyes and meet someone else's. Say what you mean, then stop. Each small correction rebuilds respect, grain by grain, like flipping the hourglass and watching it fill again. Machiavelli believed that power isn't only seized, it's maintained. And the way you maintain it is by guarding against the quiet habits that erode it. So ask yourself now, which of these 3 defeats shows up most in your life? And which one will you commit to breaking today? Comment below with your answer. Your story might inspire someone else to take action too. And if this opened your eyes, hit like and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because silent defeat is everywhere, but so is the chance to turn it around. Finally, don't miss what's next. Because Machiavelli didn't just warn about hidden defeats. He also revealed the exact behaviors that make people respect you instantly. Miss that video, and you'll keep repeating silent defeats without even knowing it. Subscribe now, because the next lesson might be the one that changes how people see you forever.